we are back in Teufelstal for the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. Now, this hard-packed track has been hosting World Championship motocross events since the 1970s, so it's a regular feature on the MXGP calendar.
But the Red Bull KTM rider makes it back-to-back home wins here.
Tom Viel had to dig deep to deliver victory in front of his home crowd in Ernée, but deliver he did to edge 11 points clear of Jager Hits in the MX2 title chase that is looking like going all the way to the end of the season. Simon Langenfelder will be boosted by his home crowd support here though, but will that be enough to upset the top two? Let's see how they get on at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany.
Hello everybody and welcome to round 11 of the FIM Motocross World Championship with me, Paul Malin, and welcome to MXGP TV if that's where you're watching. But this weekend, round 11, the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany at the Talkessel circuit, Teufelstal in Germany. I'll be joined throughout the day on the broadcast by Jason Thomas from Fly Racing. But we've been coming here since 1971. Joel Robert was the first winner in the 250cc class, which is now the premier class, of course, MXGP. He did that on a Suzuki that day. We've had 47 different winners over the years since then. And last year's winner, Maxime Renault, normally riding in MXGP. We'll talk about that as per the MXGP schedule. But we'll have a new winner from this current crop of riders this weekend. Will it be Tom Viel, the championship leader? Will it be Jager Hits, Simon Langenfelder, Kevin Horgmo, or even Mikkel Hart or somebody else? Either way, we've got a healthy crowd here today, and the atmosphere has been buzzing. The racetrack, as you can see, has been freshly watered, so there are going to be one or two slick takeoffs, shall we say, but hopefully the riders on their sighting lap will be able to deal with that and just take some of that moisture off. The racetrack here about 1,600 meters long, give or take 10 meters, but it's a downhill start into a sweeping left-hander, takes you back uphill, and that's obviously sector 3 there where the start is. Sector 4 lightens up towards the finish line, but the racetrack here, hard and slick yesterday. You'll see that from the qualifying highlights. We'll also see it from our GoPro track preview, which was recorded yesterday after the MXGP free practice. And from that side, there's the overview of the racetrack. And take a look at it in more detail. We did this lap yesterday with the 226 of Tom Cock on the KTM Cossack team, riding his home Grand Prix this weekend. So the start straight here then at Teufelstal, the Talkessel circuit, as you can see, downhill, but you've got a lot of room to play with. You can even rail that bank up high around the outside. We hit the foxhole shot line, we drop back downhill, and then we're straight into Liqui Moly Mountain. Bit of a tabletop there. Normally see a lot of riders scrubbing. Not seen too much of that this weekend though. If you hold the inside through turn 2, there are 2 little singles. You can rail the outside. Either way, it arrives at the Monster Energy step down there. And now we're on to the start straight, heading across the start straight, as you can see, into turn 4. A 180 left with that little single there. There'll be a whole multitude of lines through that left-hand turn before the riders exit and go past pit lane. Braking bumps, you'll see. Riders scrub through here, and this is the run down towards the Monster Energy finish line. That's what it looks like just here. So about 30 meters from takeoff to landing. And then as we come into land in turn 6, we have this left-hand turn. We have a 180 left, followed by a tabletop and a 180 right. And then we have a track change this year as we exit this right-hander. Slight rise on the exit here. Falls away. We used to have waves, but as you can see, it straightens up. We've got a slight angle, but you've got a tabletop into a single. As you can see, it's been taken into one. And then we have the city jump, this sweeping left. Many years ago, we went straight from the finish line into that long sweeping left-hand there. It was absolutely rapid. Tripling up onto this turn 10, and then dropping back down over the Liqui Moly step down. This part of the racetrack caught out 1 or 2 riders, particularly in the MX2 qualifying race yesterday. We'll see that in a moment. But as we fall away, we've got this series of 180 rights and lefts utilising the elevation on both sides of the valley here. As we get out of this right-hander, though, and drop down into the left, we really hear the noise for the first time. And this was just with the qualifying. This was the GoPro lap yesterday with Tom Cock. And you hear how it was there for him yesterday, but it's a bit more of a full house today. Downhill for the final time, we go right, left, and we rejoin the track at turn 1. That's a lap at the Tal Castle. And you can hear that atmosphere just starting to build now ahead of MX2 race 1 here at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. And before we go anywhere, though, Lisa Leyland was down on the grid. She caught up with Thibaut Beneston, I believe, or maybe Jan Panzer. But before that, Mikkel Harp.
The very first MX2 race at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany is about to get underway, but let's catch up with a couple of the guys, as always. The first being Mikkel Harp, mainly because yesterday you seem to be looking good out there in qualifying. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I enjoy the track very much, and the weather is lovely, so conditions are nice out there. And yesterday I seemed to find a good rhythm in the qualifying race, and actually we're starting to catch up to the front guys towards the end of the race as well. So all in all, just feeling good and having fun out there. Yeah.
You say you enjoy this track here in Germany. What is it about it that you enjoy?
It's high speed and there's great flow. So like riding around, you feel comfortable, and you're just having fun, and that's what I appreciate a lot on the track.
And finally, you've got some home support here as well, haven't you? Some Danish fans in the building.
Yeah, this is pretty close to Denmark, so a lot of people came out, and yeah, it's awesome to see. I would say they're probably the loudest out there, all the fans, which is awesome. So I'm enjoying it very much, and of course they'll be supporting me throughout the whole race.
Best of luck today, Mikkel. Thank you. Now, I really want to catch up with Jan Panzer, mainly because we don't speak to you as much as what we would like, but perfect opportunity to speak to, because yesterday you were 7th in qualifying practice. You had a fantastic time practice. Best result so far this year. You must have a good feeling out there.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Lately I'm getting better and better, so I'm just trying to get the best result as possible, and trying to do the best start, because lately the start was not the best, but I think with the good start I can challenge the top 5.
I mean, looking at your results, you're definitely improving week and week. What is it that you changed? Anything on the bike? Is it your fitness? Like you said, the starts? What is it that you think has just clicked for you?
I think the confidence and the ability to get the speed from the trainings to the races, because before I was always fast on the trainings but never on the races, and now I can do this and push hard on the races, so I'm looking forward to this race today.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see you up there. Thanks, Jan.
Yep.
Okay, good luck to all the guys. It's time for MX2 race 1.
So as the riders then made their way out onto the sighting lap, they're now back. Of course, we had the national anthem and the parade here ahead of MX2 race 1. Obviously, the fans were in awe of everything that was going on here, because, you know, there was the flag, the national anthem and everything else, and a real sense of pride with the home fans and the home support putting on this Grand Prix here in Germany. The Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. MSC Torschenthal doing a fantastic job as well. I wonder if that flag's going to get auctioned off somewhere, because a lot of signatures in there. Riders down on the grid then, making their way through to their positions. Let's take a look at the championship standings, though, ahead of round 11. Tom Vial, 11 points clear of Jargo Kietz. Simon Langenfelder, 93 further back. So really is a two-horse race at this point. Kevin Horgmo and Mikkel Harp round out the top 5. And then we've got Adamo, Isaac Gifting, Stefan Rubini, Thibaut Beneston and Kai de Wolf back racing this weekend. We'll take a look at the qualifying highlights in a minute. I'll bring in Jason Thomas now from Fly Racing. Interesting yesterday, wasn't it, with the track conditions? Obviously, it was quite windy, it was warm, it was hard pack, it was slick. There was fresh water on the track as well ahead of the that first race of the day, you know, the qualifying race for MX2. And we're going to look at it more in detail, and Jason will be along for the ride as well. So this is what happened in the MX2 qualifying race yesterday. All eyes over on the left-hand side of the gate. Beneston, Geerts and Vial. But it was Vial who got a fantastic start, Jason.
Yeah, he looked really comfortable yesterday. The track was really tricky, and I think this track suits Tom's riding style really well. I was more interested in watching Jago Geerts. He was very patient and almost seemed like he was waiting for today to maybe try to turn up the intensity a bit.
Patchy water out on the track. Some of it on jump faces and downsides as well would catch out riders like Kai de Wolf and Liam Everts later on in the race over on the far side of the circuit. But this is what it looks like with the GoPro from Harup. But Vial looks fantastic up front. Beneston was there in second. Jago Geerts never really at the races, but seemed to just settle down. And this was the first few corners of the race with the two Yamahas getting the better of the gas of Langenfelder, Beneston, and then Geerts going through at this point. Then Kai de Wolf fell, and that was on the face of the jump. And there's Liam Everts, ironically, just going through, because a lap or so later, he would also go down. Despite not finishing the race, though, Liam Everts, Kai de Wolf will line up today. It was more of a knock to the leg than anything else.
Yeah, I spoke with his team manager, Rasmus Jorgensen, and feeling okay. I think he just got a little bit ahead of himself, pushing a little bit too hard in his first race back, and going to try to correct that today.
So this was a battle between Harup and Adamo as Everts picked himself up. He will not line up today. The finger that he broke in the qualifying first turn crash at Matterley Basin that has been plated has kind of had a bit of a whack to it, so he will not line up despite going out in the warm-up session first thing today. But Thibaut Beneston was out on his own, Jago Geerts on his own. Rubini was just picking himself up there. He was in 5th place. He eventually finished in 14th, but it was a comfortable win for Tom Vial. For the 3rd time this year, he will start from pole position. So let's take a look at how the riders line up then. And, of course, Tom Vial will be on pole for the 3rd time this year. He led every one of the 13 laps. Thibaut Beneston will line up alongside him, and Jago Geerts. And then we'll have Simon Langenfelder, Mikkel Harup, Andrea Adamo, Jan Panzer, who was fantastic in 7th, and Kevin Horgmo, and then Tom Guyon. There'll be 25 riders lining up today because the absence of Liam Everts. So, Jason Thomas, Fly Racing. We've got a freshly prepped track ahead of MX2 Race 1, 30 minutes plus 2. On yesterday's performance, are we going to find it difficult to look past Tom Vial, or do we expect a threat from the Yamahas of Beneston Geerts, the Gas of Langenfelder, maybe even the Kawasaki's of Harup and Horgmo?
Well, I think they're going to definitely give him a fight. My question is if it's a similar situation to yesterday, which was also a similar situation to last week in France, does Beneston stay in front of Jago Geerts championship-wise? Because that was the talk all week. Beneston is out there racing for himself. Of course, he wants to help Yamaha and Jago Geerts win a championship, but as we get closer towards the end of the series and as the points become tougher to come by, Yamaha and Beneston have to make a really tough decision here. So that'll be the storyline that I think maybe unfolds today.
Jago Geerts 11 points behind Tom Vial, despite not riding the qualifying race after crashing a week ago. He only lost a point in the championship chase. He'll be looking to make amends today. And Thibaut Beneston, who won the 2nd race in France, obviously feeling good here in Germany. Can we see an improvement in his scores? 3 podiums so far, all 3rd place finishes. He would love to get a 2nd or an overall win. What about Langenfelder at home in Germany? Can he stand on the top step here today?
Well, he's going to be looking for that form he had at Matterley. And I think it's still there, right? These guys being this young, their form comes and goes. And I think yesterday he just said he's building, he's trying to improve. And guys like Mikkel Harup, we see all these guys, they're still in their development phase of their career. And yeah, you're going to have a little bit of variance in the results.
So far, we've had 4 different race winners in MX2 this year. Tom Vial has 9, Jago Geerts 8, Langenfelder 2, Thibaut Beneston with 1. Who will add their name to the list? Maybe Kevin Horgmo, if he can get a good start on the F&H Kawasaki.
Yeah, he's done really well when he gets a start. He seems like he can find the pace of those around him and go with him. Isaac Gifting, another rider that if he can get to the front, I think he's a podium contender, but the start is so important for many of these guys.
Almost everybody in place then. There's Kai de Wolf lining up all the way over to the left as we look, the right-hand side for him, which is a downhill. It's probably about 100 metres, 95 metres into that turn 1, but it is banked to the outside. So as long as he gets a good jump on the guys to his inside, he should be able to get a good start. The Fly Racing 15-second board up for the first time today then. MX2 Race 1, 30 minutes plus 2. This is the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. Vial up the inside gate where he was yesterday. He pulled a whole shot from there. Can he turn it into a foxhole shot today in race 1? gets a good jump, and he's already clear of Beniston. And look for Kai de Wolf around the outside here in yellow. He gets pushed too wide, but it's Vial with a foxhole shot for the 7th time this year, and Kai de Wolf down on that first turn. The disadvantage of being all the way to the outside.
Yeah, that's a tough thing that many of the MXGP riders dealt with last week, but for Vial, you can't execute a start much better than that. He knew he had a lot of room to his left if he needed it, and honestly, with a jump like that, he could have started really from anywhere. But you see Beniston, similar to yesterday, trying to be aggressive early, and I think that's the key to beating Tom Vial, is getting him out of his comfort zone early. If you let him sprint away in the early laps and get a gap, that's where he's most comfortable.
Thibaut Beniston all over the back of Tom Vial as they hit the finish line jump for the first time. Freshly watered on the takeoff and the landing. Riders will be cautious around there. And Beniston looking for the long way round, but gets denied and is off track. Does he lose a position? I don't think he does, but it's cost him about a second and a half. Great start for Jan Panzer. There in 3rd place. He was 7th in the qualifier, and he is in the best position he's ever been in an MX2 race. Yeah, just behind them, Langenfelder, and then Jago Kietz there in 5th place.
Yeah, these guys are going to want to try to get around Panzer quickly. Again, the same point, but if they allow Tom Vial to get away early, it's going to be a really difficult situation. You don't want him to be comfortable, and just like many of the best starters we've seen in history, Jorge Prado being the same, when they get a lead, that's their best chance of disappearing. That's what they do well.
Beniston hanging on to that 2nd position at the moment. Jan Panzer can't believe the ground that he has in front of him here with just 2 riders ahead of him in the race. Vial already disappearing off into the distance, so Beniston looking to regroup after that mistake coming through that turn after the finish line that has allowed Vial just to break free a little bit. But also Vial, with him being the leader and obviously wanting to push, he is at risk of making a mistake on what is a freshly watered racetrack. He's got to be careful, and he's got to keep his emotions in check.
Well, and he's putting a lot of pressure on these guys behind him because they would also like to let the track come in a little bit and not have to push so hard so early. But Gibbs gets a good look ahead there. He can see Vial trying to disappear, so he's going to have to take chances as well. So all of them are feeding off the dynamic, and they don't have the ability to be patient now, especially with Vial out front. Same as that, Vial wants to go too, so all of them are kind of creating their own little bit of risk here.
Jago Kietz flies by. Jan Panzer on the downhill moves into 3rd place. He's already dealt with Langenfelder. He's now got his teammate ahead of him as they fight over 2nd position. Working our way towards the end of this first official lap then, and Vial's lead at the first time will be, well, it's a 1:56.1, but he's already 2.2 seconds clear. Here's what happened to Beniston a lap ago. He came in, he tried to muscle his way around the outside of Vial, who knew he was there, and then he just ran out of real estate and just off the side of the track, and then rejoined here. And also Langenfelder looked like he was a little bit offline as well. So Beniston regrouping. He's got his teammate Kietz behind him now. So the KTM trying to pull clear. Fastest lap on that opening lap. Sun coming out here at the Tal Kessel. But with Jago Kietz having to play 2nd fiddle to Beniston a week ago in that 2nd race when he could have done with those crucial championship points, he'll be keen to find his way past the 198.
And he can't fall into the same trap he did yesterday where he got stuck behind Beniston and then kind of lost the toe of the lead 2. He needs to make a pass quickly and set his sights after Vial.
Mikkel Harup trying to get the better, and he may just find his way up the inside of Langenfelder just into this corner. We'll keep an eye on that as we reach the next right-hander. Panzer is there in 4th place, but has Harup found his way past Langenfelder? Not quite sure at the moment, probably not. But Kietz can't afford to lose time if he is to take points out of that lead that Vial has. It's 11 at the start of the race. Meanwhile, Harup, he tried to get up the inside of Langenfelder. These two fighting over 5th place. Langenfelder, how much pressure on the young German shoulders to win here this weekend. He said he doesn't feel the pressure coming in. He actually finds it quite cool that the fans are on his side, but Harup around the outside this time, surely. Wait for him to pop back into view. Yes, so Harup up into 5th place.
See Geertz here. Yesterday he was all about patience. There was no urgency whatsoever. Totally different today. You can tell championship points are on the line. You see how muddy he is already from following Beniston around here. That's not a lot of fun. you take a risk of running out of tariff. So he needs to make a move, either hang back a little bit or get him quickly. There can't be a lot of in between.
Here's how Harrop found his way past Langenfelder. He got alongside him here, and he railed the bank as Langenfelder went defensive. He got the wheels down, and then all of a sudden he got alongside him here, and that was 5th place for Harrop.
Yeah, this track you have to set passes up. You know, you can't get in there without a plan because a lot of the lines come back to the inside. So for Geertz, he needs to make a plan here, decide where he's going to go for the pass and come up all at once.
Beniston looks like he's found his mojo here. He's starting to put some distance between himself and his teammate as he goes back after Tom Vial. The gap 2.5 seconds at the moment. There's Vial in the opposite direction. Looking further down the leaderboard, Kaiser Wolf up to 17th now, Gifting up to 15th. He's found his way past Peter Pollock, so not a good start for the Hitachi KTM rider fueled by Milwaukee. And he's a couple of places behind his teammate, Cars Makers, as well. But just rounding out the top 10 behind Langenfelder in 6th, we have Adamo, Horgmo, Rubini, and Tom Guyon. Yeah, looks settled. Strange racetrack though, isn't it? Like parts are very, very wet, like the other side of Liqui Moly Mountain, and then just as they re-emerge through this section here, very dry, and then out through that first turn.
Yeah, the riders really have to stay alert. They can't kind of fall asleep and not pay attention because the consistency and the moisture is changing so many times, as you mentioned, around the racetrack. So you see some of the lines that really weren't working yesterday are working this morning. Like that outside was much slower yesterday. That Harp just used the last lap and this lap. So it's interesting as the track develops, and we'll have to watch that all day as it gets drier and drier.
Harp looking to make a move on Panzer. This is for 4th position. The Big Van World MTX Kawasaki rider there, number 11 in black, has done well to break free from Langenfelder after passing him a lap ago. He's now got the Slovenian in his sights, who is just having a fantastic first race here in Germany. Beniston, the fastest lap of the race, though, 2/10 quicker than Vial. That gap still hovering around the 2.4, 2.5 second mark. Harrop tries to get the wheels down early and goes for broke around the outside of Panzer, but he's going to have to go left to right here. And then he'll try to utilize the outside line, will he? It was working well yesterday, but he cuts back. Look how slick it is there as he gets on the gas. The Dane. Adamo just behind Langenfelder. Now, look, goes to the inside, looking to find his way past the factory. Gas rider.
It's a good ride from Adamo. He's really worked, kind of get good starts and work backwards. This is kind of the opposite of that. It's nice to see him moving forward.
Kevin Horgmo going with the two gas boys as well. The F&H Kawasaki here in the light blue. He's currently in 8th position with Rubini just behind him in 9th, and then Tom Guyon, the number 27, in 10th place. Looking not too easy to overtake at the moment. Everybody pretty much follow the leader. I wonder if, as the race goes on and the track dries out, we get that traction and then riders can start to find new lines. But they seem to be taking a lot of mud on board at the moment, and a lot of roost as well.
Yeah, it comes back to what I was saying about having a plan. If you just go in there and try to force a pass, it's really not going to work out because there's nowhere to go. So you almost have to set a pass up. You have to be really clever in how you're going to approach it. You saw earlier this lap when Harp just came to the back of Panzer that there was nowhere to go. There was one line. So Geertz still struggling with that same problem. He needs to really think about where a weak spot on the racetrack is for Beniston and try to exploit that.
4 laps complete. Tom Vial continues to lead. The gap now 1.7 as Beniston sets the fastest lap of the race. Geertz a little short there on the finish line jump, losing a little bit of a toe to his teammate. But right now, with 21 minutes to go, Beniston seems to be upping his game as he goes after another race win. First of all, though, he's got to find his way past Vial, who does lead this first race. Harrop, top of your screen, trying to get alongside Panzer again. Will he go the outside option this time? Yes, he does, but maybe just unpredictable. Looks like it's the first time he's been that far out. Is there a move coming at the top of the hill? Well, he doesn't go the distance. He'll go to the inside, but it's very wet and slick still there. Not enough traction for him to try and make that move happen.
Yeah, the secondary line really hasn't come in yet, and it will as the track dries up a little bit, but you see Harrop really trying to venture out, and it's just one primary line that's working right now, which makes it really tough to pass.
Fastest rider on track that time around was Geertz, but we're talking hundredths and thousandths of a second over Vial and Beniston as he tries to close them down in 3rd position. Harrop, desperate though to find his way past the Tem Jet 253 rider. Adamo in 7th position. And just off track there. Very lucky for the Italian. Got to be careful of that trackside furniture as well when you run offline like that.
Well, that section has caught out people all weekend long, so that's not the place you want to get loose at the moment.
We continue to follow the battle between Jan Panzer, Mikkel Hara. They've got a bit of breathing space, but Adamo getting a little bit roughshod down the inside of Langenfelder, tries to show him a little bit of front wheel. The German knows he's there. Adamo, desperate to find a way past. He's alongside. He's going to have the commanding line over the finish line jump, but he may just get squeezed. And actually, Langenfelder giving him a lot of room to work there. This is for 6th place. Tries to cut back to the inside. We saw Beniston try to make a move around the outside of Vial there on the opening lap, and just ran out of track. The berm just disappeared. Big panic revs there for Adamo as he came into land. Harup is through though, up into 5th place. Adamo again alongside the factory gas, the Red Bull gas, but he's not going to make the move happen there, is he? No. Again, very, very slick. This time he takes no chances as he drops well down on the racing line.
It's pretty impressive though from Adamo. He looks really racy here, looks aggressive. He's almost ridden defensively at most of the rounds so far this year. This is a different version of him.
Made that podium, didn't he, at Mantova round 2, which was his first ever podium. But obviously would love to make another visit to the box before the end of the season. We're just at the halfway point, just after the halfway point at the moment. Here he is in 7th position. The way that MX2 has been happening this year as well, the inconsistency of a lot of riders, any one of these guys could land on the podium in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity. I think there's a couple guys at the front with Vial and Geertz, and now Beniston kind of coming back to that fray. But everyone else, it's been up for grabs.
Did you see Adamo coming to land on the Liqui Moly jump then? He landed on the left side, got a little bit skew whiff, crossed over to the right, and tried to defend that line from Horgmo. Lucky to stay up. Rubini in 9th, Guillon in 10th place. Not much in it between those two either. Just a little bit further back of this battle, in fact, entering the pit lane area now. But a fantastic ride this for Jan Panzer at the moment. He's in 5th position, all there in orange. And he's got a factory gas behind him in the form of Langenfelder. And I guess a semi-factory machine as well of Adamo, the SM Action Racing Team US battery gas rider. Kevin Horgmo looking frustrated at the moment there, just can't get close enough. Again, circuit not coming to the riders at the moment. Gifting and De Wolf now 13th and 14th. They've done away with Carsmakers, who drops to 15th place. Horgmo. Now that the sun's coming out, we've got the possibility of this circuit just drying out on those hard, slick patches. Traction will be at a premium in the next couple of laps, I would imagine.
Yeah, and these guys are trying to get creative. You see Horgmo using the very extreme outsides inside to the racetrack. But you have to. You see how the lines all come back to the inside in every corner. If you can't get next to somebody coming into the corner, you don't really have a chance of making it pass.
And they've really built up that inside there as well. You just saw Panzer around the outside, Langenfelder just getting hung up there a little bit, just too much hang time. So it makes you go one way or the other. And it's not even that you can just wheelie over it and soak up some of that as well.
See Horgmo maybe try to use the same line that Harup did if he goes outside. See if Panzer goes to defend, which he does.
So Adamo then defending the outside and that position. 7th place from Kevin Horgmo, who works his magic this time, but again is going to get denied as they drop back onto the start straight in the opposite direction. Langenfelder hiding behind that visor on his helmet as Adamo does charge through and into 6th place.
You could feel the urgency from Adamo there because he understood that he was going to get passed by Horgmo if he didn't make a move. So it's funny how the ebbs and flows from each lap go. 2 laps ago, Adamo was trying to make the pass. Then 1 lap later, he's almost getting passed by Horgmo. Now he's back ahead of Langenfelder.
So Adamo then with his head down, leaving Langenfelder just to pick up the pieces. Horgmo breathing down his neck in 8th position. And I wonder if he's just lost his rhythm and his flow here a little bit, Langenfelder, dealing with the battle from behind, just putting himself under pressure, maybe when he didn't want to quite push at that point in the racetrack on a circuit that was maybe just a little bit too slick for him. Jago Kietz, meanwhile, fastest lap of the race by quite a significant margin, 4/10 over Vial, 7/10 over Beniston. As Kai de Wolf following Gifting through at the moment. Remember, he fell at turn 1. These two are in 13th and 14th place. So the Hitachi KTM fueled by Milwaukee. And then the Nissan Husqvarna factory rider in yellow, tripling his way up into this plateau. Tries to go around the outside, gets alongside. Gifting knows he's there. And at the point of the racetrack where he crashed in qualifying, he takes a position away. And it was a brave move as well to 13th place.
Oh, that's the tough part of this right here, is they're both riding really well. They're battling. They could very easily be in 4th and 5th, but here they are in 13th and 14th. So that's what happens when you get a bad start and crash on the, obviously for de Wolf, crashing in the first corner.
The battle for second place then with 14 minutes to go. Beniston hanging on, but he's got his teammate Jago Kietz behind him. Vial about 2.5 seconds further up the track. But last time around, Kietz was the fastest lap of the race. But once again, he's coming up to a roadblock in the form of his teammate.
Yeah, Jago has to be just about had enough of this. It's been going on for 2 weeks straight now, and nothing, nothing negative to say about Beniston. He's riding incredibly well, but Kietz is battling for a championship here.
That outside line there not working. Jago Kietz caught it a minute ago. Borgmo just caught it there, just running out and then into loose dirt. So riders are going to be looking for new lines, but as it stands right now, Vial, who is leading the race on 25 points and Kietz third on 20. That gap is going to be going out to 16 points at the top of the championship table. Looking up, sees his teammate there once again. Tripling onto this plateau as Vial drops away in the opposite direction. Back end lit up there on the machine of Beniston as he was just about to drop off. But a good recovery this for Thibaut Beniston. The fact that he had his knee surgery, obviously he's been there chipping away, but last couple of rounds, 2/3 in Sardinia where he got a podium, he got an 8th and a win that got him 3rd overall a week ago in France. Here he is in 2nd position. He's really kind of announced himself on the stage in MX2 this year since he's come back from injury.
Well, and he clearly looks better than the next pack, right? We've known these top 2 guys in the championship are the elite in the class, and Beniston looks like he's ready to become one of them. Now, it's a small sample size, right? He hasn't been around the entire series, but from what we're seeing, every time he's gone out, he looks to be on pace.
And he's making it frustrating for his teammate who goes around the outside. Is the dirt working for him? It is, but he just can't get close enough, and Beniston could close down the door. Keeps him there in 3rd place.
You saw Jago check up there just before the jump pace. I think he's going to have to get really aggressive here because it doesn't seem like Beniston fears him at all in any of the corners. He's not giving him any room at all. So you hate to be aggressive with your teammate, but I think he's going to have to be.
I was talking to a rider who will remain nameless yesterday. Said he had 1 or 2 altercations with a couple of riders last year on the racetrack. And he said, the thing is, you've got to be rough with them sometimes because otherwise they will continue to walk all over you. And once you do it and you make sure they know you've just done it, they won't mess with you again. You're going to have to throw a set, isn't he, in this case?
You can just see Beniston's body language that he's not fearful at all. He knows that Geerts is not going to take the line away from him, so he's going to have to change that mindset for Thibaut.
And also, Jago Kietz sat behind his teammate. Beniston probably knows that actually we are teammates, and if you do clean me up, there's going to be words said in the paddock afterwards with the bosses and the managers and everybody else. So we've got to, he's almost got like a bit of a buffer. Had that been opposing teams, he may have already come through right now.
Yeah. And if you're Jago, you have to also go to your bosses at Yamaha and say, listen, I don't have a choice here. Either tell him to give me some room, or I'm going to have to get aggressive because I'm not going to lose the championship being patient with my teammates.
Well, 2.4 seconds the gap again at the moment at the last intermediate point. Vial has over Thibaut Beniston. A couple of purple sectors though for the Yamaha boys this time around. Sector 1, Beniston Sector 2, Jago Kietz.
And you can see frustration in Jago's riding. You see him getting on the gas a little bit earlier than he normally would and breaking the rear end loose, the front getting away from him there. He really wants past. He's probably
this time, right Kietz does get around the outside of Beniston, takes that 2nd position away. A lap ago it was a rehearsal. This time he makes it stick. And now he has clear track to go after the race leader.
See, Beniston's not really done yet.
Doubles the hole, gets alongside Geertz, but we see that berm disappearing on the exit, and it was untidy for Beniston, but Geertz hanging on at the moment. What will the lap times be this time around? It was the fastest lap for Geertz a lap ago, and it's another fastest lap for him this time around as well. A 52.7 Vial, a 51.9 Geertz, 52.9 for Beniston. The gap 2.7 seconds though. He's still got a bit of time to make up to the Red Bull KTM, who continues to lead the race.
And if you look ahead, Vial's right there. You know, this race is far from decided. So, you know, Jago has 10 minutes plus 2 laps to do something about it. Now, the same problem is going to happen. Getting there is one thing, but getting around Tom Vial will be another.
Jago Geertz going to have to put in a couple of qualifying laps in quick succession just to find his way onto the rear wheel. But normally the case with Tom Vial, you get there, trying to find a way past is a different thing altogether, and you can be in eternity. It's taken him 10 laps, the best part of 10 laps, to find his way past his teammate. And Vial won't be so forthcoming either in saying, please do.
Well, and you wonder if Vial made a mistake by not sprinting more at the beginning. Maybe he was already flat out and that was all the pace he had. But now he's allowed Geertz to hang around, and now he's going to have to push hard the rest of the way here to hold Geertz off.
This battle continues here. I am very impressed with Jan Panzer at the moment. Ahead of this battle, he's in 5th position. He's out on his own as well, leaving Adamo, Langenfelder and Horgmo all to fight over that 6th place. Horgmo getting close as well. Gets down the outside. Can he go outside, inside, and then cut back as they cross turn 1 here? He was doing this line in the warm-up this morning. He's got alongside Langenfelder, who looks across helplessly. The F&H Kawasaki rider is through into 7th place. Or is it?
The line's been a lot quicker all day.
Oh, he does, and then he gives Langenfelder a nudge. He falls down. Tell you what, Horgmo's going to need security when he gets back to the paddock after that.
That's going to be unpopular.
So Horgmo up to 7th. He had already made the pass, but Langenfelder just tried to come around the outside. Watch this here. He was already there, but then he just tags him at this point. Just left him nowhere to go apart from on his ear. Langenfelder now in 8th place.
Yeah, Langenfelder, he also has to take a little bit of blame there. Once Horgmo has the line, you have to check up. You can't leave yourself nowhere to go, and Horgmo is going to try for the gas double here on the same lap.
Horgmo, aggressive down the inside. He's done it once, and it worked. Why not try it again? But this time he just needs to keep it a little bit cleaner. Adamo knows that someone's there, though. Just wonder if he knows it's Horgmo.
Outside line's pretty interesting there from Horgmo. He'll triple here, go outside again. He's been pretty creative here. It hasn't worked all that well, but he's been really trying to push the boundaries of the racetrack.
Again, using all of the racetrack, just setting himself up here as Adamo commits to the inside. Horgmo can just get on the gas, work something else, rather than just following that one line around the inside. Again, here, look, cuts back to the inside, but Adamo's there this time.
And this is torture for Adamo because he's inside, he's outside. You don't know where the attack is coming from all the way around the racetrack. It's really difficult to play defense when Horgmo's being that creative.
He goes to the outside here, though. He realizes that Adamo, who's just looking over the shoulder there, we're going to see a repeat move here on lap 12. Watch this here, cuts back to the inside. He's working it a treat, then he'll go again to the inside. This time it was cleaner. He gets the pass done earlier, and Horgmo now up into 6th place. But Adamo...
Deja vu right here.
Here we go. Horgmo again uses that line, but this time he keeps it clean, and he does go into 6th place.
Adamo is a little bit smarter there. He has to check up. When you don't have the line and you're on the outside, you don't have a choice.
Watch this here. This is just the last 2 corners before re-emerging at turn 1. Gets on the gas. Adamo knew that he was there. He couldn't do anything about it, but that gas of Adamo's is pretty quick, you know, in a straight line. But eventually, Horgmo did go through, and he's still there now in 6th position.
Horgmo, just like I was saying, you know, I keep coming back to this point, but he executed a plan. He knew he had a line that could even make a pass on. He used it on both guys, aggressive or not. And now we have a battle for the lead here. Geertz, just like we talked about, had already closed that down. Now he has that same problem of trying to find a way around.
It was just over 2 seconds when they hit the line. It's now 1.1. And again, another fastest lap. We said Geertz would need to put in those qualifying laps to close down the gap. He's done it 1 lap or 2 ahead of schedule. He has the Frenchman right there ahead of him, number 28, Tom Vial, on the Red Bull KTM. Is he going to find a way through, though? We've got 5.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. In Ernée, we saw him get close and then spin out at the bottom of one of the hills, and then he had to do it all again and just ran out of time. This time he can't afford that kind of mistake if he's going to close down that championship lead from 11 to 8 points at the end of this race. And he wouldn't have seen Kevin Horgmo's lines and creativity, just relying on that same drive around the outside. So Tom Vial, Jago Geerts, the top 2 in the championship, the top 2 in the race. Once again, they're 5.5 seconds clear of the best of the rest. Thibaut Beneston at this stage of the race.
And you wonder if Geerts has a plan, right? Does he have a place where he feels like he can make a move? Because a lot of times you just get to the back and you're like, okay, now what? Because obviously he didn't have a lot that he could do with Beneston, but he could just be flying by the seat of his pants and, you know, have to get aggressive when he gets there. You see Vial flirting with that edge of the berm. A lot of the outsides are kind of going away at the late stage of the race.
Just saw the pit board there from Geerts' crew. Play hard. They know how difficult it is to overtake, so you do have to get your elbows out. And they know that down there in pit lane as well. But the gap, 1.8 all of a sudden. A good response from Vial. He realized that Geerts was closing in. So he's just said, okay, I'll find another gear and see if you can come with me. Back markers, though, was a bit of a problem. So the final sector costing him.
Yeah, we've talked about how difficult it is to pass. If you can just keep a gap like this and keep him out of any strike zone, you're safe, right? Obviously, he would love to have a bigger lead than this, but this is more than comfortable when you know that there aren't ample opportunities to pass anywhere.
Looking like he's just opening up the track a little bit more, Jago Geerts. The top of the previous right-hander, Vial kind of went wider, which makes the turn left onto the plateau a bit tighter, whereas Geerts was a little bit tighter. It had more of an open exit point at the next turn, and he was just able to close back down, and we can see him now doing similar things as they re-emerge back at turn 1. It's now back down to 1.6 seconds, but he's going to have to be aggressive around this part of the racetrack. You're going to have to go for that dirt and trust in your tyres.
Well, another thing, too, is Geerts has had the benefit of watching Beneston and trying different lines the entire race. Tom hasn't been able to see anybody, right? So he's had to trust his own instincts as far as where the good line is. And a lot of times you don't even know that a line has developed, where a rider that's had to sit behind somebody and search and search and search, you can find new lines.
Next corner, 4R, not sure what that is, fourth line, whatever, but over the finish line jump, the gap, it was 1.3, it's now 1.304, 151.7, fastest lap of the race, once again for Jago Geerts, 51.7, 52.3 for Vial. He's getting closer again, but as we saw in the previous lap, Vial can just extend it at will, it appears.
I think that 4R may be 4 laps to go. Would be, what is R and what's laps in French?
Tour. T. But... and he's Belgian. But here's Langenfelder under attack from Rubini. So a good late surge for Rubini as he goes after Langenfelder in 8th position. The Ship to Cycle SR Honda Motor Blues rider has done well to bridge the gap. Fell from the qualifying race in 5th yesterday, did Rubini. So obviously has good feeling and good pace with the racetrack. And he's putting it to good use here as he goes after the number 516. Nicely done there. There is a lower takeoff point there, but yesterday the outside line was a lot drier. Meanwhile, nothing in it between the first two. Less than a second. Fans on their feet. Geerts getting ready to strike. Minute and a half to go. Vial can hear him there. He goes outside, inside, and then protects the investment at the top of the hill. Then he goes defensive here. All of a sudden, and that Yamaha has a very distinctive sound. Geerts will know who's there, and he's gone the defensive here.
You see him tightening up all of his lines to not leave any inside, but they're slower, right? That's the problem. It's defensive, but it's also slow. So you're almost talking yourself into you're just going to make it a battle now. You're not even going for the fastest lap time anymore. You're just trying to hold Jago back.
Almost slowed down their turn there as well. Waited for Jago to commit and then got on the gas to sort of like gain another couple of tenths. Tom Vial. Over the line we go. 15 laps complete. And all of a sudden, another little response. Just over a second. Vial will just keep on doing what he's doing. Outside when he needs to. Inside when he needs to. They've got 7 seconds over Thibaut Beneston in 3rd. Once again, fans treated to another Vial Geerts duel. just tiptoe around the inside. Meanwhile, Rubini is through on Langenfelder. This is for 8th place.
Yeah, this is not the day that Langenfelder had in mind at all. You know, this is the guy that he went 1-1 at the opening round. He's at his home GP, probably had his sights set on a podium and losing spots as we go.
And he was on the podium a couple of rounds ago in Spain as well. Won the muddy qualifier in France. Watch this here, dropping back onto the start straight. Rubini got to the inside. Langenfelder, no reply. Slowed it down. Rubini up into 8th. And he's starting to pull away as well. Yeah, Langenfelder maybe just riding a little tight. Very easy, isn't it, not to get drawn into the media hype at the start of the weekend. Someone like Langenfelder, no, I'm not under pressure. I'm nice and relaxed. Good to see so many fans. Problem is, at your home round, those fans expect.
Yeah. And he even mentioned yesterday in the pre-grid before the qualifying race that it's been a roller coaster of a season, right? Too many highs and too many lows. And, you see Geert step out there. The urgency is turned all the way up for both of these guys right now. So hopefully they can keep it on 2 wheels because they are pushing the edge of traction.
Well, there was a race here last year where we said it might all end in tears, and it did. And all of a sudden, these two are just pushing hard. We're going to go into the final 2 laps. Vial leads Geertz. Vial more efficient through that turn there, just carries that flow. Probably cost him another couple of tenths of a second there. It does, it's 1.1. It was 7 tenths at the third split. But it's just, I think it's just through the turn 4, turn 5, just before and just after pit lane. Vial is just that little bit more efficient. And then he uses that to advantage as well. So stays a little bit lower there as well. He's got a nice line over that little city jump. Doesn't hang so much. Wayne Banks on the left, normally throwing spanners for Jeffrey Hurlings. He's throwing the spanners this weekend for Tom Vial. Harry Norton, the usual crew chief, is not well this week, so Banksy stepping in at the last minute. He was coming here anyway, he said, because it's not too far away, I guess, from the workshop. But Vial, you can see how he's just spraying those outside lines, protecting that inside when he gets here. Doing a good job at the moment. Yeah, Jago's significantly quicker in this section of the racetrack, so it's can he make a pass in this area that he's quicker. That inside's not really ideal, but he's got to get close. I think if he's close enough in that same place that Horkmo made those moves, that's really the only opportunity that I see right now. Yeah, and he's quick through there as well. Just laying everything on the line. Tom Vial. Again, he comes back to the outside this time around. If he's right on his wheel when they come over Liqui Mountain, I think that will drive Vial to go to the inside to ride defensively, and that could allow Geertz to ride right around the outside. You watch here, look. Vial just more efficient through there and onto this start straight part of the racetrack. He also loses ground, maybe not necessarily through this turn, Jago Geertz, but at the end of the straight, you watch, when he goes right, Vial just seems to flow through there over this little single just a little bit more efficiently. And Jago Geertz just loses a little bit of time there, and that seems to be where he's losing, which if you're going to make a run towards the finish line, you need to be sharper and quicker through those last 2 corners. Yeah, it just seems like that Tom's setting up a little bit earlier, making the corner, and then there goes Tom Vial with the fastest lap of the race there, which is saying something with, we're on the last lap here, so obviously putting it all on the line. Again, if Jago wants to make a move, he's got to get close. He's got to utilize his quick areas on the racetrack and be right on his rear wheel when they come over Liqui Mountain. I want to see a rear view of Vial's line on that city jump, because he stays very, very low as he comes under the city banner. Sets the fastest lap of the race. See him on his penultimate lap. Geertz gets close again over here, but he does lose it in the final sector, which is from onto the plateau area towards the finish. Got to go wide. He'll cut to the inside here again. Look, the difference in lines. Vial goes too deep into the berm there, and again a mistake, and that may be the difference. And Geertz gets alongside. Can't make the pass happen. All of a sudden, a handful of corners to go. We are in for a grandstand finale. He's going to have to cut out early here. Here it comes. He's got to be right on him, so Tom goes inside. Both absolutely bashing the berms and the walls and all sorts here as Vial just responding. Nice play by Tom there. I really thought he would go inside, but he learned from that earlier mistake. He learned from when he went inside and realized how slow it was. He had an opportunity. He didn't take it with both hands. Tom Vial continues to lead, and he may just come away with the 25 points. 2 corners to go. Geertz gets close. Final turn, and Vial keeps it upright, keeps it on two wheels. He heads to the finish line, and Vial wins race one. No celebrations, but another race win for the mechanic down there, this time in the hands of Wayne Banks. But fantastic race, less than a second separate first and second. But another 3 points gain in the championship chase for Tom Vial. It now moves from 11 to 14 points. And Geertz left scratching his head after that first MX2 race. Jason Thomas.
Well, I love the racecraft there. I really thought that Tom was going to give Jago an opportunity there, and he learned. That's so impressive at that age to understand where the weaknesses are, where he's got to be thinking, where could Jago possibly pass me, and not leave the door open, and didn't.
So the championship. Take a look at this here. Oh. Yeah, look how slow he is there, but oh, not slow, but how low he was. And then the mistake here on the final lap. Watch this. He gets alongside. He had to jump long, but then he just landed too heavy, and Vial was in the driving seat. And then that was as close as it was in the final turn. The run down to the finish line.
Super efficient through there, as you mentioned. Once he got to that section, there was no chance.
Lights the candles. Tom Vial wins race one. So we'll give you the official confirmation in a few moments' time, as soon as we have it, of course. But we'll talk to Tom Vial before we see any of the results. Hopefully he's getting ready to talk to Lisa anytime soon. But a fantastic first race between the top two in the championship. It was a bit of a slow burner while he was parked there in third, but he got to second and really applied the pressure to the winner, Tom Vial.
Tom Vial, another foxhole shot for you, another race victory, but you really had to ride defensive at the end there.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. At the beginning I was quite good, and track changed a little bit, and you know, on this track, Jago was definitely a little bit faster, and if I opened the corner to take this line, he could have passed me on the inside, so I prefer to save the inside line and try to ride like this until the end, and it worked. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Thank you.
Good luck for the second race.
Breathing a little bit heavier than normal, Jason Thomas, after winning that race. He was clearly under pressure and on the ropes, but he managed to salvage that win. He had to dig very, very deep.
Well, you mentioned no celebration. It's really hard to celebrate when your heart rate is at 200. Jago pushed him all the way to the end there.
So Tom Vial wins race one. It's his 10th race win of the season. He extends his points over Jago Geertz now from 11 to 14 as they head into race two. Geertz shaking his head, I think, as he came over line there. But here is confirmation, MX2 race one. A win for Tom Vial, less than a second between him and Geertz. 14 seconds further back, Thibaut Beneston, and then we had Mikkel Harup. Jan Panzer, 5th for him, and I think that's a career best so far. Kevin Horgmo and Andrea Adamo, Stefan Rubini. Simon Langenfelder faded to 9th in the end, ahead of Isaac Gifting, Kai de Wolf, Tom Guillaume, Guillaume Ferrez, Kai Karsmakers, Marcel Stauffer and Peter Pollock. Then we had Thomas Kohut, Jakob Terezak, Valerio Latta and Noah Ludwig. Best seats in the house over there. Take a look at the highlights of that first MX2 race, shall we? Here's what happened MX2 race one then, the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. At Teussenthal, Tom Vial over the foxhole shot line for the 7th time this year. Kai de Wolf, who was on the outside, hit the dirt, picked himself up to get back to 11th place, but it was Vial who led, Beneston second, Panzer in orange in third. Then we had Langenfelder, Adamo and Geertz. So Geertz was about 7th through the first couple of corners. Then the first rider to make a slight mistake was Beneston, letting Vial get out of his sights there through that turn after the finish line, cost him a little bit too much time. And then riders jostling for position on a freshly prepped water track. Geertz then got the better of Jan Panzer to go after his teammate. That was for 3rd place. And then Harup around the outside of a struggling and maybe riding a little bit tight Langenfelder. That put him into 4th at that stage of the race. Or maybe 5th actually, because Panzer was there in 4th, wasn't he? Then over the line here, you saw just in the background there, that was Harup on Panzer. That was the pass for 4th place. Adamo got his elbows out, tried several times to make a move on Langenfelder. Eventually took that 6th place away. He would eventually come home in 7th. Then Geerts and Beniston went at it as Geerts moved into 2nd position. He had clear track then to challenge Vial. Borgmo, not too kind to the German. Langenfelder on his home Grand Prix tipped him over as he took 7th place and then moved into 6th with exactly the same move on Adamo, only he gave him a little bit more room to spare. Tom Vial, though, victorious in race 1 by the narrowest of margins over Jago Geerts, Thibaut Beniston, Harp and Panzer. Take a look at the foxhole shot, shall we? And for the 7th time this year, by about a week, Tom Vial, the Red Bull KTM rider, clearly ahead in that competition. 5 for Langenfelder, 2 for Beniston and Horgmo, and then we have 1 for Liam Everts, Rick Elzinga, Kai Karsmakers, Mattia Guadagnini and Mikkel Harp. So we will take a quick look then at some of the best moments, and Jason and I will just reminisce about what happened in that first MX2 race as well.
Well, I think the tough part there for Jago is he rode incredibly well, right? He was just as good as Tom, could have got the win, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he would have lost by 20 seconds. He still loses the 3 points. It's really tough to live with.
Take a look at the best moments then. Do the best moments now then, shall we? Right, 10th down there in the waiting zone ahead of MX2 race 1, as we would expect, but did the race deliver for you, Jason Thomas?
That's about as good as it gets. Took a while to get there, as you mentioned, slow burn, but I don't know what more you could ask for out of those last few laps.
Obviously the top 2 in the championship coming to the top again in the second one, but good rides from the likes of Jan Panzer. Mikkel Harp was in there as well. Kevin Borgmo was aggressive, and had to be, because that track today lends itself to those who are prepared to take that kind of risk, get those elbows out.
Well, and I think Beniston rode really well too. Jago's probably going to go back to the truck and say, dude, please get out of my way. I possibly could have won that race if I could have got around you earlier, but what do you say to Beniston? He's in this thing to win races and get back into some sort of championship contention as well.
Great battle, though, between the 2 Yamaha teammates. Of course, Kevin Horgmo on a charge as well, but that was pretty much some of the best moments from that first MX2 race. Jason and I will be back in about 2 minutes' time, and when we return, it'll be MXGP Race 1. We'll see you then.